اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وآل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu. First of all is to thank Almighty Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala for blessing us with these wonderful moments and indeed wonderful opportunity to have this very important discussion. It is a discussion which inshallah will shape our lives and will shape our destiny, because it has to do with marriage, and not just marriage, but the point of departure to every single marriage. How to select a spouse or your husband to be or wife to be. So allow me from the onset to take this opportunity to express my gratitude to UK Shia Connections for organizing this very important section or session. So kindly, brothers and sisters, I seek your indulgence. Pay attention to what we're going to discuss and try to take some notes. And feel free, if you have any question, to ask towards the end of our session. I would like to discuss this topic in 3 or 4 ways. Number one is to ask ourselves, why marriage? It's a very fundamental question that we need to keep asking ourselves, whether we are married or aspiring to get married. Because understanding and appreciating why marriage will then help us to select who we want to get married with. So that's the first stage of the examination, why marriage? Then the second stage is to look at some practical tips on what one should do before you embark on your journey of selecting your husband or wife to be. Then number 3, we'll then look at from the men's perspective. Any man who aspires to get married, what are the qualities you should look for when it comes to selecting your wife to be? And then the last stage of the examination, I will then look at from the woman's perspective, what are the qualities you should look for in a man before you decide taking the discussions to the next level. And inshallah, brothers and sisters, I seek to discuss all these through the teachings of us, and I will share some traditions of the prophets regarding most of the practical tips I will share with you, inshallah. And I must add here, whether the qualities a lady should look for in a man or qualities a man should look for in a woman, there is overlap. So you can look at all those qualities holistically. But yes, as I said, I will look at them separately as per the traditions of the Holy Prophet and Ahl al-Bayt. But all can fit in here and there. Number 1, why marriage? We all want to get married. And Alhamdulillah, UK Shia Connections are trying their level best to organize and arrange this event for us within the confinements of the teachings of Islam. So when we go to the event next week, we need to go with a mindset. And that mindset should be informed by the teachings of the Holy Prophets and Ahlul Bayt, alayhim as-salam. At the end of the day, we are Muslims, we are lovers and the followers of Ahlul Bayt, and we do not have role models like Ahlul Bayt, alayhim as-salam. 1, or first reason as to why Islam encourages us to get married. It's because marriage is a means of tranquility. It's a means of peace of mind. Wife is a means to peace of mind for a husband and vice versa. And Quran tells us this. Your wife, your husband, they are sources of peace and tranquility. So first reason, why marriage? Why you want to get married? Why do you attend matchmaking events? Looking for someone to get married with? Simply because you want to obtain peace of mind in your life. That's one. Second reason why marriage is because marriage is a door to God. وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ is one of the signs of Allah. Marriage is one of the indicators to Allah. It's one of the signals to Allah. Your wife be yours of approach to Allah and vice versa. Your wife should be in a position to hold your hand to Allah and vice versa. So we are married, or we aspire to get married, so that we take our spirituality to the next level. That's number 2. I hope you are taking note, my dear brothers and sisters. Number 3 reason as to why Islam encourages us to get married is that our marriage is a means or source of giving our communities, our countries, our states, productive and useful children, God-fearing children. It's not about having children. It's about having God-fearing children, productive children, useful children. And we're only able to get that through our marriages. So when you think of getting married, you need to ensure that you reflect on the reasons as to why you want to get married. And last but not the least, certainly, reason as to why Islam encourages us to get married is that marriage brings 2 families together, brings communities together. Your family and the family of the person you aspire to get married with. So these are the 4 major objectives or aims of marriage within the religion of Islam. Now let's go to the second stage of my explanation. Some important spiritual tips before you begin looking for the one you're going to get married with, before you start your selection process. The first thing My dear brothers and sisters, an-niyyatu salihah. Have good intention. Someone may ask, but Sheikh, we all have good intention. I want to get married. No. What does it mean to say one has to have a good intention? It simply means I want to get married for the sake of Allah. For the sake of Allah doesn't mean you don't love your husband to be or your wife to be. For the sake of Allah simply means what? We are all under this umbrella, divine umbrella. And that I'm getting into this relationship as per the teachings of Allah, Tabarak wa Ta'ala. So having good intention is very important. You are attending UK Shia Connections matchmaking event. Your aim is not just to go and meet girls and just talk to them and then leave. Or your aim is not just to go and you want to talk to 3, 4, 5, 6 girls. And your aim is not just to go and talk to about number of boys. That's fine, so long as you have good intention. And hence there's a beautiful tradition from our beloved Prophet, where the Holy Prophet said, Man nakaha lillah wa ankaha lah istahaqqa wilayatullah. Whoever married for the sake of Allah, and you do whatever you do in that relationship for the sake of Allah, meaning you take care of Allah's boundaries, istahaqqa wilayatullah. You deserve Allah's protection. You deserve Allah's guardianship. So, first spiritual tip before you think of selection process, pure intention is very, very important. And there are so many traditions under this, but I don't want to take much of your time. Second practical tip, dua, supplication. Make dua, seek divine intervention. You attended a matchmaking event, ask Allah to intervene on your behalf, to meet someone who is God-fearing, who is responsible, who will help you to grow spiritually and otherwise. Ask Allah to help you meet someone with whom you'll be blessed with productive and God-fearing children. Dua is very, very important, my dear brothers and sisters. And of course, there are traditions from the Holy Prophet and Ahl al-Bayt. And to be specific, there is one beautiful tradition from Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam on the dua we should make when we start thinking of getting married. Amir al-Mu'mineen tells us, Man arada minkum at-tazwija falyusalli rak'atayn. Whoever intends getting married, you want to go to matchmaking event, make wudu, do 2 rak'at salah. In each rak'ah, you recite Surah Yasin right from the beginning to the end. If you've not memorized it, open your Quran and recite it. 2 rak'at. Each rak'ah, Surah Yasin. Once you're done with the salah, it means after salam, you thank Allah. After thanking Allah, ask Allah to help you and to intervene on your behalf, to meet someone who is God-fearing, who will be loving, who will be caring, and with whom you will be blessed with good and pious children. Some of us, when we think of getting married, we tend to forget seeking divine intervention. Divine intervention is crucial. We cannot do without God's intervention. In addition to that, sadaqah, charity, do charity. Before you travel from your homes or from your houses to where the matchmaking event is taking place, give sadaqah. No, if you are not attending any matchmaking events, what do? From time to time, do this a'amal, give sadaqah out there, make dua after your salah, ask Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala to help you in this journey. Yes, you recite Surah Hamd before Surah Yasin. So, like Salat al-Fajr, 2 rakat salah. In each rakat after Fatiha, Surah al-Hamd, you recite Surah Yasin. After that, you make the dua. So these are the spiritual tips. Now let's go to the main part of our today's discussion. And kindly pay attention, brothers and sisters. You see, Quran tells us, "Hunna libasul lakum wa antum libasul lahum." They are your garments, and you are their garments. When you look at your garment, your clothes, you don't just go out there and buy any clothes and start wearing. You become careful on what you wear and what you buy. Likewise, one of the reasons as to why Allah says we are garments to each other is to invite us that whenever we intend getting married, we should not just get married for the sake of getting married. We should get married consciously, while reflecting the main objectives of marriage within the religion of Islam, and also looking into the qualities outlined for us by the teachings of Islam. So now let's look at the qualities one should look for in a woman. So like our brothers who are here with us, I know you all aspire to get married. What do you look for in a lady? As I said, most of these things that I'm going to mention that you should look for in a lady, it can also apply to a man. In other words, a lady can also look for those things in a man. But I'm mentioning this separately because that's what the traditions of the Prophet and Ahlul Bayt teach us. Number one, a woman must be reasonable. Reasonable. Someone you can talk to. Someone you can reason with. No, if you find her not reasonable, she's too demanding. When you start talking, trying to know her, and you realize that no, you can help her to bring her to that level, that's also fine. But the first thing, as per the traditions of the Holy Prophet and Ahlul Bayt, just be somebody one way or the other you can relate to. That's number one. And we have traditions on this, really. Don't just go and marry. One tradition say fool, but fool doesn't mean somebody who's mad, crazy, no. Somebody who cannot reason, who is just demanding. The first time you start meeting her, she's asking so many things. She's giving so many demands that you need to be careful. I'm not saying stay away there and there, but you need to be careful. So that's number one. She has to be reasonable, somebody you can relate to. Number two, which is really the most important one, that deen. She has to be religious. Religious doesn't mean she wakes up for namaz shaba every day. No. Religious doesn't mean, you know, she is like a malaika angel. No. But you know, she tries to implement and practice Islam. We all sinners, we all gunakaran. We all have our shortfalls. But the Holy Prophet tells us, alayka bidhati din taribat yadak. Oh man, when you decide to get married, go for those women who practice their faith, who are religious. When you go for those type of women, you will be protected. So, number 2, religion. She practices, she prays, she tries to practice, she admits her shortfalls, she doesn't justify it anyhow. She tries to grow. Today, unfortunately, some of us, we don't look at this. We only look at education, that should bring 50% on table so that you are able to get the house, the mortgage. That's okay, but that's not Islamic requirement. Second important requirement for men to look for is that the lady you are aspiring to meet during the UK Shia Connections event is that she tried to practice. She loves Allah. She loves the Holy Prophets. She loves Ahl al-Bayt, alayhim as-salatu was-salam. And the tradition makes it very clear. Alayka bidhati din, O man, go for the one with religion. فَإِنَّهَا تَمْتَازُ بِصِفَاتِ حَمِيدَةٍ. Because if you go for the one with religion, you will see beauties coming out of her when you are married. So that is number 2. Number 3, al-manbatu salih. Want to get married to a woman? Look at her environment. Bi'ah. Where is she coming from? Meaning, I'm talking of a family. Which environment was she brought up in? That's very, very important. What is she posting on her social media platforms? How are the posts? Are they good ones, productive? How does she portray herself out there? So environment is very, very important. And that is why before you get married, people go for recommendations, isn't it? It's crucial. Because marriage is not like going to Primark and then you fit the clothes, you get into fitting room. It doesn't fit, you remove it, you throw it, and then you go. Marriage is not like that. It's a lifetime commitment. And so therefore, the lady's environment is very, very important. Number 4, my dear brothers, what you need to look for. Husnul khuluq. Good akhlaq. She talks respectfully. She engages respectfully. She interacts respectfully. She respects young and old. She respects whoever she meets or come across. There is respect in all her approaches of life. So good akhlaq is very, very important. And Amir al-Mu'mineen tells us, al-hayyina, al-layyina, al-mu'atiya. You know, it's a goal for women who is down to earth, who is soft-spoken. Soft-spoken doesn't mean when a woman talks, you don't know. Meaning there is respect in the way she talks. And who is generous. So al-Muhammad, here, this 4th point is what? Somebody with good akhlaq. You cannot just go and marry for the sake of getting married, brother. You get married to someone who's going to be the mother of your children. And you know woman's influence in children. That's a separate discussion. 9 months in a womb, 2 years breastfeeding. And during upbringing also before the child reaches certain age, always with the mother. Mother has unbelievable influence in the make of every single child. So when you go to get married, my dear brother, don't just get married for the sake of getting married, because there is too much pressure in your family, too much pressure in the community, and because of the pressures, you want to just go and take anyone. It doesn't work out that way. You'll end up regretting. Number 5, quality to look for, my dear brother, al-afaf, modesty. The Holy Prophet tells us, khayru nisaikum al-afifa. The best of all your women is that modest one. She is modest. She dressed modestly. Her life, there is some sort of balance. Modesty is crucial, my dear brothers and sisters. And especially, I'm talking to the brothers now before I come to the sisters. If she's not modest, but she's willing to learn, she's willing to seek help, why not? So I'm not saying the moment you don't see that in a woman, you say, no, this is not working, let's throw the towel. No. See if there is a room to communicate and help her. Why not? You can wait for that, and Islam encourages that. So modesty is of great importance. Obviously, today, we have in our community, people will come and say, you know what, I want to get married, but I don't want you to wear hijab. Hijab is Islamic recommendation, Islamic obligation. Yes, I'm not saying if a woman is not wearing hijab, she should not get married. Don't get me wrong. But it is also wrong and haram for someone to say, okay, I'm going to get married with you so long as you remove your hijab. No, you can't say that. If you do not understand the concept of hijab, sit there, discuss with someone. At the end of the day, the teaching of hijab is in Quran and the traditions of the Prophet and Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salatu wassalam. That's number 5. Number 6 to look for, or number 6 quality to look for, is at-tadbir, management. Is she able to manage things? That one also is in men also. Is a woman, the wife that you are trying to get married, how is her management? Because when children come, and your husband, you are there, she may be working also. There is a need for management, tadbir. And we have tradition from the Holy Prophet and Amirul Mu'mineen when it comes to this. Where the Imam Amirul Mu'mineen mentioned, one of the negative factors of marriage is lack of proper management. Woman cannot manage. Husband cannot manage. Children are there. She can't manage properly. He cannot manage properly. This is also a factor that the tradition, and there are so many traditions really, I don't want to bombard you with those traditions. Financial management. These are all very important. And then, of course, number 7, my dear brothers and sisters, that to honor. You need to go for a woman who is supportive. There will be tough days. There will be difficult days. Likewise, this is also men are expected also to be supportive, which I will explain later on, inshallah, so that I don't confuse you. Go for that lady who you feel she will be there for you, even in difficult days. That's very, very important. And we have a tradition, really, from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. He said, there are women with the following qualities. And if you come across them and you are not married, go for them. One of them, of course, Imam said, تُعِينُ زَوْجَهَا عَلَى دَهْرِهِ لِدُنْيَا وَآخِرَةِ. She supports her husband, or willing to support him when it comes to his dunyawi affairs and ukhrawi affairs. In dunya, she supports. She doesn't see you like a Bank of England. She supports you in your difficulties. And she also supports you when it comes to your connection with Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. And then the next one, of course, which is normal one, emotional connection. That's very, very important. And last but not least, beauty, Jamal, beauty. Want to marry someone beautiful. And of course, they said beauty lies in the eye, isn't it? The beholder or something. It's a relative. But those other factors are more important than this one. When you have good akhlaq, you have good deen, you've got modesty, and you seek divine intervention, you get it right, my dear brothers and my dear sisters. Now, let's go to the last stage of the examination quickly. Every lady who is not married normally will ask herself, who am I going to get married with? Who is going to be that king I've been looking for? I'm attending this event. Will I meet the man to be or not? So Islam, likewise in the case of the men, also invite women to look for certain qualities. But as I said, women, you can also look at the qualities I explained that the men should look into a woman. There's no problem really. Number one, my dear sister, you want to get married? Try to implement Islamic teachings in selection. Al-iltizam ad-dini. Someone who takes his religion seriously. Again, I'm not talking of the one who wakes up for namaz ishab, salatul layl, or recite Quran every day. I'm talking of someone who practices his religion, who practices faith. Yes, if he's not practicing and you feel he can be helped, why not? So the Holy Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in fact, this tradition, Imam Hassan al-Mushtaba alayhi salam, narrate from the Holy Prophet that somebody came to him and asked him, I want my daughter to get married. Who do I give to for marriage? Prophet said, Zawijha min rajulin taqi. Let her marry a man who is God-fearing. This is very important. This is important. It's a point of departure. As a woman or as a daughter or as a sister who is not married, point of departure, look for that man who is God-fearing. Don't just look for man for the sake of looking for man. Because he's working, he's earning how much every month. That's okay, we need that. I will come to that later. But رجل تقي فإن أحبها أكرمها وإن أبغضها لم يظلمها. The Holy Prophet said from Imam Hassan al-Mushtaba alayhi salam, if you marry God-fearing man, when he loves you, or if he loves you, he honors you, he respects you. And if he's angry at you, he will not do injustice to you. He will still give your right to you. So, my dear sister, first quality, look for God-fearing. I'm not saying look for that holier than thou. No, look for God-fearing. Because Prophet said again, Man zawwaja karimatahu bifasikin. Whoever marries his daughter to an open sinner. So here we put it this way. If you go and marry an open sinner, someone who just sin, he doesn't care. You know what Prophet said? Your du'as will not be accepted by Allah. And you will not achieve the purpose of marriage. May Allah forbid. And Prophet gave an example. Sharib al-khamr, la tuzawwiju in khatib. Someone who drinks too much alcohol, who drinks alcohol. When he proposes, don't give him your daughter. Yes, if he's willing to change, why not? So that's number one. Number two, my dear sister, husnul khulq. The man you aspire to get married with, look for this quality. He is of good akhlaq, impeccable akhlaq. Don't just marry for the sake of money. You know what Prophet said? La tuzawwijuhu in kana sayyi'ul khulq. Don't marry him if he has bad akhlaq. Akhlaq is a package. Speaking, interaction, or interacting, eating is a package. So a man who has no good akhlaq, you should think twice and be hesitant when it comes to getting married to him. Number three, al-amana, trustworthiness. He has to be trustworthy. And for you to know whether he's trustworthy or not, you need to find out. You need to seek recommendations. Yes, you've been to the matchmaking event and you are happy you met someone. Fine, no problem. But before you take the final decision, go for recommendations. More even important than doing istikhara. Because I know some people jump into istikhara. No, first explore and see if there is a room for marriage or not. So the man has to be trustworthy. Otherwise, if he's not trustworthy, he will drive you crazy in this relationship. And you will not get anywhere. Because today you find our daughters or our sisters, they graduate from university, they just want to get married. Yes, fine. You have to get married. But be careful whom you get married with. And that is why the Holy Prophet said, إِذَا جَاءَكُمْ مَنْ تَرْضَوْنَ دِينَهُ وَأَمَانَتَهُ يَخْطُبُ إِلَيْكُمْ فَزَوِّجُوا. If he comes to you, that person or someone you trust, listen to this tradition, someone you trust, that he is trustworthy, and you are pleased with his trustworthiness, go for it. Accept his proposal and get married. Prophet is very clear in this. One tradition says, don't just look at their salat and their fasting and loads of hajj they've performed or waking up at night, but also look at their akhlaq and most especially trustworthiness. So trust is something, my sister, you need to look for. The next one, which is number 4, quality you need to look for, my dear sister, before you make that final decision. Al-kafa'a. Satisfaction. That you know, this guy that I've been speaking to, he's not greedy, he's satisfied. I'm not talking just satisfied with material, no. He will not cheat. He will not have extra marital relationship. Because when you talk to somebody for some time, you'll be able to figure out a lot of things. And if you are unable to figure out, seek the advice of experienced people, your parents to begin with, or experienced elders in the community, or friends that you know they are experienced, they understand things, and they will not be biased when it comes to the advice they offer you. But it's very, very important to go to someone who is, you know, satisfied, who will be happy with you. You will not be lingering around on social media, on YouTube, watching things that are haram. That is also very, very important. And we have traditions from the Holy Prophet and Ahl al-Bayt, alayhi wassalatu wassalam, in this regard. And last but not least, certainly not the least, he's capable of looking after you. Capability doesn't mean that he owns house or big house. He's settled, because some people say, I will not marry until I settle, until I buy my house. It doesn't work out that way. As long as he has some income and is able to provide according to his capability, why not? Go for it. And Allah will put his barakah in it. And in conclusion, my dear brothers and sisters, obviously, Islam also tells us to look at the families of each other. So I want to get married to this boy. Who are his family? How is the family? It's very important. It will give you an idea about him. You want to marry this girl or this lady. Who are her family? Mom, dad. What's the background? Islam encourages us to look at that because that is also very, very important. You're not just marrying that man or that woman. You're marrying families. And as I mentioned earlier on, one of the objectives of marriage is that it brings families together. And of course, age is very important, which Islam emphasizes also. That, you know, reasonable age, reasonable gap between you, is so that you are able to relate to one another is also very, very important, you know, not to say you cannot marry whoever you want to get married with. But Islam also emphasizes that why not sometimes look, how old is she? How old am I? What's the gap between us? Will it work out? Islam really look at that also. And in conclusion, I said in conclusion, this is the third time, you know, the Maulanas, they like talking too much. Also, Islam encourages us, whenever we want to get married with someone, we need to also be aware of their medical conditions. And there is, in fact, a riwayah from the Holy Prophets saying that it is one of the rights of your children who are to be born in future, that your wife or your husband knows your medical condition, so that as you get into the relationship, you are able to handle things properly. So that's why today we encourage people, before you get married, go for examinations. Could be HIV, could be whatever test people do, hepatitis B, hepatitis C, whatever. And then, of course, confidentiality must be upheld. Show it to the lady that you are going to get married with, and she will also do it and show you. And inshallah, you take your decisions in going forward. So we pray Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala help us to choose the best who will be with us until Qiyamah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Allahumma salli